Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our first TMA virtual briefing with the Illinois Gubernatorial candidates. My name is Rich Carter. I'm TMA's government affairs consultant, and I'll be the moderator for today's briefing. We're joined by TMA news editor Fran Eaton, and our special guest today is Rick Heidner, one of four candidates seeking the Republican nomination for Illinois governor. Good morning, Fran and Rick.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Rich.
Great to have you guys here. Well, with hundreds of state and federal candidates battling for their party's nominations in the March 17th primary election in Illinois, TMA members and their employers are in a great position to help decide who will represent them in Springfield and Washington, D.C. going forward. One of the most significant races for TMA members on the March 17th primary ballot is the Republican gubernatorial race, with four candidates vying to take on incumbent Governor JB Pritzker in November. Knowing what's at stake in the race for governor, TMA reached out to the candidates and requested their participation in individual virtual briefings with TMA members. Today is the start of those briefings, and we'll be interviewing the three other Republican gubernatorial candidates in coming weeks leading up to the March 17th primary election. We're going to spend the next half hour having a conversation with Rick Heidner to learn his background, why he's running for governor, and how he can help TMA members thrive and create good-paying jobs for the people of Illinois. At the end of the program, TMA members will have the opportunity to ask written questions of Mr. Heidner by typing them into the Q&A tab on the Zoom control panel. Now, I'll turn it over to TMA news editor Fran Eaton, who will introduce our special guest, give him a few minutes to tell us why he's running for governor, and ask him the first several questions. Fran?
Good morning, Rich. Thank you so much for taking time to listen to the different viewpoints that our candidates in the March 17th primary will be sharing with us. Our state of Illinois is in a crucial time, and this election is crucial. Who will be the two candidates from the two major parties, the Democrat Party and the Republican Party, that will run against each other in November? In March, you will decide that. So today, we're going to be talking with Rick Heidner, and he is going to be sharing with us himself. I would just ask him, share with us what you want us to know about you.
Okay, so my name is Rick Heidner. I'm running for governor of our great state of Illinois, our beautiful state. A little bit about me. My background is really started with absolutely nothing. When I was one and my brother was two, my mother and father got divorced. My father left. I never saw him again. We never saw him again. He never helped us. My mother never remarried. She was a maid and a housekeeper and a hostess. And so we really, really know what it was to suffer. By the time I was 6 and my brother was 7, we were already working, trying to help my mother. We had several paper routes over several city blocks. Two routes before school, two routes after, and moved to King Arthur Apartments by the time I was 11, became full-time maintenance people, even at 11 and 12 years old. My brother was 12, I was 11, working about 2,000 hours a year to help my mother. And it was like, for my mother, it was, by the time I was 16, she was only making $100 a week, and it was 2 weeks pay to pay 1 month's rent. So I really know what it is to struggle and watch people suffer and suffer myself. By the time I was 16 and a half, I had my own business. And one thing developed into another thing, and I just kept growing and growing my businesses. I mean, I started working at a 7-Eleven at night, saw they had video game machines, and said to the owner of the 7-Eleven if I was to buy the machines, and we partnered in that business, if I could do that. Ended up with a few 7-Elevens with Pac-Man in it and asteroids, and then started buying the 7-Elevens. And then from buying the 7-Elevens, where I wasn't even old enough, I had to buy them with somebody that was 21 because you had to have a liquor license. And that's how J.J. Pepper's food stores came about, built that up to 24 stores, realized we should own the real estate because we're the anchors, started buying and building the buildings, loved being in the real estate business. And by the time, I ended up with, before the real estate crash happened, I ended up with 225 buildings with 700 tenants in a dozen states. And again, one thing grew into another, same way your businesses are. You start you start building something and you realize I'm buying this, I should be building it. I mean, in the manufacturing business, I get that. So today we have 4 major businesses. We have over 800 employees, 280 buildings in a dozen states, over 800 tenants. I know what it is to pay rent. I know what it is to be an employee. I know what it is to be an employer. I know what it is to build things. I know what it is to pay real estate taxes. And now, why did I run? So busy, always, building and building, going from zero to where we're at today is a lot of building. And, I always put my head down, waited for somebody to tell me how much I owed and just tried to figure out how to pay it, right? And I'm talking about taxes too. But when I saw what was happening in our state and I saw all these people being hurt, and that's really the major thing, I just couldn't stand it anymore. The business part of it's actually easy for me. And, but my heart and my soul just kept saying, Rick, you have to run. When I saw the other Republican candidates, I'm sorry, I know what we're up against with JB Pritzker because I've gone against him already once. And I just had to run because they had no chance to beat him. So, and then on the business part, I'm watching the fall session, and all it is how much more we're going to tax you, how much more we're going to charge you. We're going to have a service garbage fee, 45 cents on the tolls, all this stuff. Where do they ever say we're going to make money for Illinois? Where are they ever saying you can generate all the money in the world, just do more business? But they're so foolish. All they know how to do is charge us more money. Take. Never do you hear make. And that's what I want to do. I want to take the state and make it into, Florida, Texas, everywhere else. So, it's ridiculous what they've done to our beautiful, beautiful state. So thank you. Sorry, I'm long-winded.
Sure. That's great. Well, we have your background, and that's exactly what we wanted, and shared a little bit about your ideology and your thought on what is your vision for the state of Illinois. You just kind of told us you think you would love it to see it head towards a Florida or a Texas kind of thing. Is there anything more that is in that vision?
Absolutely. So the very first thing I do when I go in, sanctuary state's gone, Safety Act is gone. I want to freeze all tax increases, every single one, whatever power I have to do that. I want to stop any increase. Then I want to go through every single solitary department, and I don't want to call doge it because we're gonna blow it up. We're gonna dig and we're gonna find out where all of this waste is. JB Pritzker goes in office. We're at 38 million, $1 billion budget. Today we're at 55, $56 billion. It's so ridiculous. It's so just more giving more. I mean, you're all business people. I mean, what was a year ago, June, he's standing, we're all working. He stands in front of the camera and says, every single employer, every employee in Illinois, by the way, King Pritzker is going to give you 5 more days off. You don't have to tell your employer what it's for. You don't have to tell them till the day before. It's not counted as a day that you're going to get. I have 800 employees throughout our family. That's hiring 20 full-time people without one ever showing up to work for an entire year. And I think you guys know what I'm talking about, but it's insanity to me. It's insanity. One of my businesses, 19% tax increase since he's gone into office. 19% tax increase on one of my businesses. So anyway, I want to freeze everything. I want to go through that, chop out all the waste. Then I want to start bringing businesses in here, We're going to have to give tax incentives. We talked about Midlothian a little bit earlier before everybody got on, and how I developed that beautiful property on 174th, 147th and Cicero. I went to the town. It was empty for 11 years. And what did I ask for? I said, I need $3 million in tax incentive. I'm going to generate the tax. I just need some of it back so it helps me go to the bank to borrow. I spent $22 million over there. And then the 15 acres next door that was empty for 15 years, the city was able to sell it right away. You go there now, it's all beautiful. Hundreds of jobs, millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars in taxes a year, gas tax, real estate taxes, employer taxes, sales tax, on and on and on, gaming tax. So I understand what it is to build. You know, I have a very short story I really want to tell you guys, because when we first sat down and when you started talking to me, I thought about such a dear friend that was in the manufacturing business in the previous years, 12, 11, 10, whatever it was. I want to bring that up a little bit later. I'm sorry. Go to the next question because I'm probably driving you nuts already.
You're doing great. Okay. So as a business owner yourself, you know that energy is a huge expense for our TMA members. They tell us that energy is second only to wages in the payroll. So in addition to skyrocketing energy costs, there is now a growing concern about the reliability of energy, especially when more and more of our state's energy systems are being forced to wind and solar rather than coal and natural gas. How would you handle the energy demands for Illinois?
So a big problem for me in my what I know, okay, because across the street from me, I had the Sears office building, 2.5 million square feet, 200 acres. They've knocked it all down for the data center, 200 acres, okay, and AI centers that are coming. I believe that the data center people and the AI people should be paying more money for energy, and this shouldn't be burdened on all of our business owners and actually all of our residents. So I think they should be paying a premium. We're going to have to look at that. I'm all about the small nuclear plants. Okay, I mean, I know people don't like the word nuclear plant, but these small units, you know, it's just like a car, right? We all drive cars. Most of us are old enough to drive cars that used to get 6, 7 miles to a gallon. You know, now we get 25, 27 miles to a gallon. It's the same things with these small nuclear energy packages. I think that'll help us. And the coal industry here is an absolute positive thing for our state. It should be completely embraced, and we should be self-sufficient. We used to actually sell energy to other states. Now we have to buy energy from other states. So it's a race to the bottom, and we're going to be racing to the top with me instead of racing to the bottom.
Okay. Now, another issue that has come up that's of interest is foreign companies. The current Illinois leadership has extended significant financial incentives to companies based outside of America, including companies that are partially owned by communist regimes. How would you want your administration to handle such requests in the future and deal with those companies who have already started businesses within Illinois borders?
Okay, so the one I don't think we can get rid of, right? I mean, we gave them $500 million, I guess, to a Chinese company to do a battery plant here. I don't want Chinese companies here. I don't want foreign companies here. I mean, if they're allies of us and they want to come and help us and work together, but when it comes to something like China, to me, it's anti-American, okay? When I see land being bought, our farms being bought by Chinese companies, to me, you're going to actually give our food, our food, you're going to give to the Chinese for us to. My brother lost 2 dogs, okay, because he was buying bagged dog food and it was being made in China, and they put something in there that killed his dogs, killed a lot of dogs, automatic kidney problems, I mean, horrible. Imagine that could have been a test. That could have been a test. So I'm going to go to my little story now that I said I really wanted to tell you because it was such a wonderful man. My friend I have 2 friends. One was my next door neighbor who made small little engines. And when they opened up everything in the early 2000s into the 2010 area, and then everything was just going to China. My friend next door, my neighbor said, "Rick, you see that spool of wire inside of there?" I said, "Yeah." And he had huge manufacturing plants, by the way. And thank God he saved his money and didn't have debt. And he was an older man. He was in his 80s. He said, "It cost me more money for that copper inside of here than what now with this motor is made in China." And I thought to myself, what are you talking about? How crazy is that? They want to put us out of business. Okay. So now let's go to my one friend. The enclosures of a 2x4 fluorescent light, that lay in. He made the metal. He had a metal manufacturing. He had 70 employees. He had his own building. He was charitable. His kids went to Catholic schools. And all of a sudden, the manufacturing, they were selling the enclosures, and he wasn't a well-educated man, but he was a good man. And so what did he do? He figured, well, they'll come back to me. They'll come back to me. So he put a mortgage on his building. He put a mortgage on his house. He used up all of his savings. He cashed in all of his life insurance, trying to hang on to that business. And he lost everything. And, I helped him, to be honest with you, because I was so heartbroken for him. And, he ended up dying in a chair in his living room. Why? Why? We have to be self-supportive with ourselves. We have to be good to ourselves. We need to help each other. We don't need communists coming here that want to destroy our country and steal our land and steal all of our business. It's not going to happen with me. I want to put a stop to it. I'm not going to give those kind of people any kind of help. Sorry about that.
Thank you for sharing that, and I'm glad you got that story in because it's powerful. We're going to kind of move towards what has been coming towards the people of Illinois, and in 2020, they decided, no, we don't want it, something called the progressive tax. And for us, it's just abandoning the current flat tax rate system that we have in the state of Illinois. What's your position on that? And I think I probably know what you're going to say, but let's let you say it.
Oh, you do know what I'm going to say. Once again, we haven't pushed enough of our best and our most productive citizens out of our state. You look at Ken Griffin. I bring him up all the time mostly because he was such a charitable man, and hundreds of millions of dollars that he gave to museums and art institutes and just charity after charity, and just completely driven out of our state, hugely because of safety. And then the stupidity of the graduated tax, okay, we'll call it on income tax, and whatever else they want to graduate on. But I have so many friends that are so wealthy, and they live 7 months somewhere else now. They come back here for 3 to 5 or 5.5 months. They didn't want to leave. They were forced to leave. And I don't know how, by pushing people out, you think you're going to make more money. See, they never try to take more money and get more money. They just want to take more money from you. Look at New York. Everyone's going to leave New York, but they're flying right over the top of our beautiful state. Why would New Yorkers that live in Manhattan or someone else want not to go to our lakefront? But they will never even consider coming here. You know how many are going to come here? 0. There might be 1 or 2 dumb ones, but I don't know those ones. They're going to go to Florida. They're going to fly over and go to Texas. They're calling right now Wall Street, New York. In Texas, there's a Y'all Street. That's what they're calling, Y'all Street. And they're close. Listen, they want to tax our financial district more, but our financial district standing there telling them, and by the way, they're going to be like the bears. They're just going to be tired of even being threatened on and have to pay more tax, and they're just going to leave. But this is, again, the stupidity of the takers and not the brains of the makers. We're makers, by the way. I'm a maker too. I'm a manufacturer. I'm a manufacturer of jobs. I'm a manufacturer of buildings. I'm a manufacturer of wealth. I'm a manufacturer of making things that, I couldn't tell you the thousands of jobs. We employ 800 people, but the things that I built employ tens of thousands of people.
Well, a Heidner administration would have a whole lot of leeway since the governorship is one of the strongest. Illinois has one of the strongest governorships in the nation. And the policies that come from the executive branch affect everything, that's for sure. I'm just curious about your thoughts on what you would do with developing talent for right now, even in the World Economic Forum 2 weeks ago, one of the topics of discussion was developing skills, trade skills, and how important that would be. Do you have any thoughts about how important it would be to have skilled training more emphasized here in the state of Illinois?
So I have to tell you, I mean, I'm so glad I'm talking to you, to this group, because you guys are manufacturers. And I'm going to tell you something that I know, because this is where I came from. When you're very, very depressed in a, you know, we were the poorest kids in the poorest family in a lower income area. All right. And we're going to go to the neighborhoods on the south side now. Well, I didn't live there, but let's just talk about me, and let's just talk about those people. I really want your help. And if I have to give you some tax incentives to help me with this, what I want to do is, if you grow up in an area, or you grow up in a family, or you grow up and you're not able to see anything other than what you're able to see, you only know what you're taught, you only know what you're told. But if we could take schools, okay, if we could open up small places, or we could transport kids, or kids just coming out of high school, to learn and show them more than what they understand or their environment keeps them inside of. Do you have any idea what good we could do? Do you have any idea? And again, forget about the money. Think of the lives we could change. Think of the people we could help. Think of the generational horrible situation these people are in, because nobody's ever shown them anything more than we've kept them in this bubble. If I didn't see what prosperity could look like, you know, again, I worked so hard, and my brother worked so hard, and my mother worked so hard. And my thing is I never wanted to see anybody suffer the way we did. And I definitely didn't want my wife and kids, when I ever was going to have some, to live the way that we lived. So I was nonstop work. You know, it was nothing for me to work over 100 hours a week. It was absolutely nothing. You know, all I did was work. I didn't play baseball. I didn't date. I didn't do anything. I just worked. So, but I realized, especially in the beginning, if I wasn't shown, I mean, I had the richest uncle in the world. They lived in a 1,600 square foot ranch house in Franklin Park with 3 bedrooms, and they actually had a house. So to see that, it was like, oh my God, I could have that. I could achieve that. Somehow I have to get there. I'll just work day and night. So I think I really want to work with you, because I think we could really do some wonderful things, which gives us great citizens, right? Productive citizens, and gives them pride. I don't think they want to be where they're at. I think they just think that that's the way it is, and that's the way they're supposed to be, and it's not.
Well, I had more questions. You have such great answers. I appreciate that so much. I'm going to hand this back off to Rich, because he has a couple of questions from our actual viewers, and we'll get a tone on where they're coming from. If you don't mind, we'll have a few more minutes.
I'll stay later. If you want to ask all the questions in the world, I have no problem answering. If people want to stay after, you know, if you want to leave it on, I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Heidner. Thanks. It was an enjoyable conversation. Rich, you want to take it?
Sure. Thanks, Fran. All right, time for questions and answers. For those of you on your computers, or if you're using the mobile app, you can type your question and submit it through the Q&A tab on the Zoom control panel. In the meantime, we did have a question that was pre-submitted. Mr. Heidner, this is actually an issue that TMA is leading on in this legislative session. And it is, starting in 2027, with the 2027 school year, high school students will be required to take 2 years of foreign language in order to graduate. which will severely limit their ability to take career technical education classes like machining and other trades. How do you feel about this new state mandate, and would you support legislation to allow these CTE classes to count as an alternative towards those foreign language requirements? Mr. Heidner?
That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, we should give them a choice and let them pick between the two. You know, do I wish I could speak Spanish? Yes. You know, but there's a lot of people that it's like my oldest son. You know, my second son is all mental business. You know, went to the Kelly Business School and all that, and then my other son, started to go to college and just completely failed, and we sent him to a technical institute, and oh my God, has he thrived. In fact, he actually has a couple patents now for our military for scopes and things. You know, we should give the kids the options and not make it mandatory. I'm not, you know, if these kids that they're talking about need to do 2 years of language, you know, if they're going out of the country, then they should learn languages. But if they're learning languages to speak to people that are Americans, we should make the ones that don't speak English that are Americans, we should have them taking 2 years of English. So I would definitely want to give them the choice.
Great, thanks, Mr. Heidner. Again, if you'd like to ask a question, please type it in the Q&A tab on the Zoom control panel. All right, we have another question. This one involves federal legislation that was signed into law earlier in 2025, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which included significant tax cuts for small and mid-sized manufacturers preparing to expand and create jobs. However, Illinois lawmakers and the governor voted and signed into law legislation to decouple from the federal tax relief. Question is, would you support legislation to reverse course and readopt the federal tax code changes, allowing manufacturers to access the state benefits of this tax relief?
Absolutely, 100% yes. It would be gone. Why in the world wouldn't you let manufacturers invest and get tax benefits when they invest in their businesses? It's just, you know, we have an anti-Trump environment. Whatever he says is white, they want to say what is black. Look at the success our president has had here for our country, but yet they say that there's no success. I don't live with lies. I have to hear them, unfortunately, but I don't have to believe them.
Thanks, Mr. Heidner. All right, well, unfortunately, we've run out of time. We do want to keep these to 30 minutes for all the candidates. We appreciate your offer to stay later, and you know, we can connect up with you later after this, but we do have to end this. Before we go, Mr. Heidner, do you have any closing thoughts for our members?
Yeah, I would really like to let you know that I 1000%, and this is why I went into the race, you know, that I'm the only candidate that has any chance to beat JB Pritzker. We know for sure he does not want me to be the guy that runs against him on the Republican side. He's going to doing things, you know, so that, you know, he sticks his fingers in the elections, and he's doing it again. So I ask for your, you know, Republican primary vote. I promise you, after March the 18th to November the 3rd, you know, we're gonna be working really hard, and I'll beat him in November. But I got to get through that Republican primary. So if you would, I promise you that everything I tell you, I'm going to be doing, and I need you to trust me, and I need you to vote for me. So thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Heidner. Well, that will do it for today's virtual briefing. I want to thank Rick Heidner and Fran Eaton for joining us today, along with all of our TMA members on this webinar. And a reminder, you can register now at tmaillinois.org/events for the remaining virtual briefings with the other candidates. Thanks again, and have a great day, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.